Yes people, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all good. Hopefully that little cutscene has refreshed your memories if you've been watching my videos and you're kind of back on track with where we're at with the story. But I'm hoping that each video, and as we progress, I'm going to get new people and more people come and see the channel that maybe haven't watched the videos before. So I'm quickly going to set the scene again. Basically, my name's Dan. I'm a professional photographer and videographer, and on this channel, I'm documenting my journey moving over from digital to film photography. And back in my very first video, I showed you all that I have joined a subscription service that basically delivers 2 mystery films to me every single month. And in that first video, I unboxed my first box. It was the very first month that I've been part of it. And I got 2 films, and one of those films was Film Washi S. I couldn't actually pronounce it in the first video, but the owner of the brand has actually been kind enough to tell me that it's pronounced Washi, so Film Washi S. And with a bit of research, I found out that Film Washi S is obviously a black and white film, really high contrast, really fine grain, and really sharp, kind of gives high definition images. So I knew that from research, but also from speaking to a few people that have shot it before. I was starting to get the impression that it was also quite unforgiving and probably not a film for newbies and beginner photographers, but I felt up for the challenge, so I went for it anyway. So I got up on the morning of the shoot, and to be honest, from the beginning it was just all going wrong. So the first thing that threw me off was I couldn't find my tripod anywhere. So my plan for the day was to obviously shoot with my film camera handheld, but to have one of my digital cameras behind me on a tripod getting some kind of behind the scenes action. But I could not find the tripod anywhere, and I still haven't, so evidently I must have left it on a client shoot, or left it somewhere, I lost it. Obviously on the morning of the shoot I couldn't get a tripod quick enough to be able to use that day, so I ended up, and a few of you probably spotted this in the kind of intro edit, I ended up using a light stand, which is not ideal, but I thought to myself, you know what, it's only just to get some quick behind the scene footage. As long as I can kind of stand it still, stand it upright, and it doesn't blow over, I might get away with this. So I packed up the light stand, chucked it in the car, and I went to the park. So that was the first drama. The second one, when I got there, was I quickly realised that kind of under the cover and under the shade of the trees in the woods, a 50 ISO film wasn't getting enough light to shoot handheld. So yeah, when I was metering the light, I quickly realised that I needed a tripod to shoot the photos, and I was already using my light stand to get the video. So yeah, I had a bit of a meltdown there as well, thinking I haven't even taken a photo yet and it's all going wrong. But I eventually realised that I could put the film camera on the light stand and use the timer, whilst I used my digital camera's handheld and got some behind the scene footage. And actually some of the footage that I got probably was better from me being able to move, so you know what, I got away with that one. I moved on. The next thing that happened to me is I quickly realised that the weather conditions weren't as I expected them. So in the first video I said the reason that I chose to shoot the Film Washi S was that the weather was going to be gloomy, overcast, and I knew that that film didn't deal well with contrast, so I thought perfect. Some kind of overcast skies, some moody trees, there's not going to be too much contrast in that scenario, it's going to be perfect. But the worst thing that you can have on this film, and I know this from speaking to people who've shot it, this is the advice they gave me, is a bright sky. Steer well clear of bright skies, because you'll just blow the highlights out and it'll be a nightmare. Can't deal with the contrast. So guess what happened on that day? When it was meant to be a moody, overcast, cloudy day, all of a sudden all the clouds went away and the sun started shining. So just ended up with a bright, cloudless sky, which is the exact opposite thing that I wanted, because now I had kind of the shadow and the darks of the woodland with this bright white sky shining through. And I knew that every composition that I was kind of finding was going to be touch or go whether this film could deal with the contrast. So already I'd come across loads of things that had kind of been putting me off getting the shots that I wanted to get. And then, just to top it off, the shutter jammed. So I don't know, I was about 10-15 photos in, and the shutter jammed on me, and I'm new to film. I don't know what to do in that situation, so I was just trying everything, trying to wind it on, messing around with screws on the bottom. I didn't even have signal in the woods to Google what I could do. So yeah, I was sitting on the floor of the woods for about 45 minutes, just desperately trying to do anything that would make the camera work again, because I thought, if I've got to go home and abandon this shoot and I can't get the shutter to work again, I won't have a video, I won't have a roll of film to show anybody. So at one point it was touch or go, but for whatever reason, I don't even know what I did, I managed to, it wound on and it started shooting again. So we're back in the game. I thought, nothing else can go on surely today. So yeah, I got in a bit of a roll then, but I quickly realised it was already 3.5 hours in, and I hadn't even shot half the roll. Because when you think about it, to get 36 images that you actually really like the composition of and the light, that's quite difficult. Like, I don't go out on a digital shoot and expect to get 36 images that I really love, but obviously when you got a roll of film, I didn't just want to waste them. I wanted to try my best to get the best image possible for all 36 shots. So I ended up being out there for over 7 hours in the end, I think, and I remember looking at my phone and did nearly 30,000 steps, which is a lot for me. So I got home and I was absolutely exhausted. I was absolutely knackered, but I thought to myself, do you know what? For all those things that have gone wrong today, if you can even get a few images on that roll of film that are decent, you should be proud of yourself, because one, it felt like everything that could go wrong did go wrong, and two, I already know that this film is quite unforgiving, especially in contrasty scenes, which all of a sudden I was up against. So yeah, I got home and I thought, if you can even get a few good images from this roll of film, it'd be a cool story and you should be proud of yourself. But then the scans came back, and as you saw at the beginning of the video, they were absolutely terrible. Not one image was usable really, and yeah, I was gutted. I was both angry and gutted at the same time, and I just couldn't work out what I'd done wrong. I think that's what was annoying me the most. I just couldn't figure out how it had gone so badly wrong, and how I was so far off on the settings, because again, I shot all of those completely manual. And I'd actually made a note of all the settings. That's how much I was concentrating on it. I noted down the shutter speed, the aperture, everything, for every single shot, so I knew why I had made the decision to use those settings, and I just couldn't work out by looking at the images that came through how I was so far off. From knowing what I know about digital photography, I was certain that I hadn't messed it up that badly, but I was looking at the images and the proof was in the pudding, I guess. They were all terrible. But I went away because I had a bit of a tantrum. So after the tantrum, I went away and I was starting to think about, like, how do I put a video together? And I've promised that, I've said it on YouTube, that no matter how good or bad the photos are, I'm going to share them, but these were pushing the boundaries of actually being too embarrassing to share. So I was thinking, how can I even weave these into a YouTube video without it just being horrendous, that people won't want to watch 36 horrendous, terrible photos? So during that process, I started to think about what could have gone wrong, and I went back to look at the photos again and started to think something weird's gone on. So I'll put some of them on the screen again now. So if you look, the highlights are blown out, but also there's no detail in the shadows either. So they look overexposed and underexposed at the same time, which I started to think, how have I done that? How can that be something that I've done? So I then got the negatives, so I'd also had the negatives back from the lab. So I started to look, and I held those up to a light and I started to look at those, and I quickly realised clearly something had gone wrong in the scanning process, because I could see way more detail in the negatives than I was seeing in the scans. I could see the highlights weren't as blown out, and I could definitely see some detail in the shadows too that weren't there on the scans that I've got. So that started to give me a bit of hope. So my next thought process was, okay, how can I scan these myself to see if they come out any better? So I haven't got a flatbed scanner, but I have been watching videos on YouTube of people that are actually scanning their own negatives at home with their DSLR or mirrorless cameras. So I got myself a macro lens and the dodgiest DIY setup you can ever imagine, with this LED light and my flash gun, and I managed to get some scans. Now, I'll probably do a video later on the scanning process that I managed to create, because I think I'll actually end up building on it and doing all my scanning at home myself. But I'll come back to that in a later video. For now, let's stick to these images that I got. So yeah, I got some scans, and I actually managed to salvage some images that look a lot better than the scans that the lab sent me, which I'm very grateful for. But before I show you the images, I just want to put a little disclaimer in there. So, do I think that these images are amazing? No, definitely not. They're probably the worst set of images that I've taken in a number of years, but there are some good ones in there, and there are some ones that I like, and it actually gives me hope that I can use this film and get some really special images down the line. So I don't want to come across negative about Film Washi S at all. I actually really enjoyed shooting it, apart from all the dilemmas and the dramas. I actually really enjoyed the process of slowing down and really thinking about the settings, because it makes you, I knew that it was unforgiving, I knew it was going to be super contrasty, I really had to think about what I was doing. I also really liked the look, so once I'd scanned them myself and got some images that were usable, I can tell there's a really strong, powerful black and white look that you can get with this film, and I'm really excited about using it in the future. So I've actually ordered another roll, and I'm not going to use it in the woods again. I think, in truth, woodland scenes are always going to be pretty difficult. If you're in a deep woods, you're always going to get the darkness of the woods itself, and more often than not, the sky is going to be too contrasty to get the kind of exposure that I want. But my idea is, I'd love to take a roll to like the Peak District or the Lake District. So once the UK's out of our lockdown, I'd love to get to some mountains and really kind of meter for the sky and get some dark, moody mountains at the bottom of the image. And I think that that's a scenario that would probably suit the film better, and also combine that with the fact that I'll have a bit of experience with it and I kind of know what to expect. I think I can get some really powerful black and white images that are very striking. So yeah, the film, I actually really like it. It's definitely something that I want to use again, and I'm quite intrigued by what I can get in the future. But for now, let's have a look at these images that I actually ended up with. Instead of just putting them as a slideshow on the screen, I've actually tried to make it into a bit of a cinematic edit, so I hope you enjoy it.
Try to guess me up, still I rise. Wanna see me fall, but I still touch skies. Had enough, call you bluff. Try to fill me up with the same old lies.
I'm mindful of it all, I got a mind full of it all. I'ma rise when I fall, and I'ma ride for my dogs. And people say they want the best for me. I'm only moved by integrity. A lot of pastors think they're really celebrities. Gotta rise from me, do the math and divide from me. And you can ride the waves, but don't trip when the tide's coming. Gas me up if you want, I'm on the road to riches. How you expecting to stunt when your soul is missing?
Try to guess me up, still I rise. Wanna see me fall, but I still touch skies. Had enough, call you bluff. Try to fill me up with the same old lies.
Just like helium.
Call you bluff. Try to fill me up with the same old lies.
Yeah, couldn't wait on you, that's why I ran with vision. Took the hate you gave and made it ammunition. Had no time to play, I can't afford to scrimmage. The Lord is with them, I'm sorta lifted, can't soar with pitches. Yeah, people come and go like the seasons. God, I got your heart from the treason. Don't let them fill you up with the fiction. I'm just hoping that you listen.
Try to guess me up, still I rise. Wanna see me fall, but I still touch skies. Had enough, call you bluff. Try to fill me up with the same old lies.
Just like helium.
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 Try to fill me up with the same old love.
Helium. Try to guess me out, still I rise. Wanna see me fall, but I still touch skies. Had enough, call your bluff. Try to fill me up with the same old lies.
I'm mindful of it all, I got a mind full of it all. I'ma rise when I fall, and I'ma ride for my dogs. And people say they want the best for me. I'm only moved by integrity. A lot of pastors think they're really celebrities. Gotta rise from me, do the math and divide from me. And you can ride the waves, but don't trip when the tide's coming. Gas me up if you want, I'm on the road to riches. How you expecting to stunt when your soul is missing?
Try to guess me out, still I rise. Wanna see me fall, but I still touch skies. Had enough, call your bluff. Try to fill me up with the same old lies.
Just like helium.
Okay, so you've seen the images now. What did you think? I would love to know in the comments, one, what you thought of the images, what you thought of the film, how it looks, if you think I did a good job, bad job, anything. I'd just love to know what you guys think. And number two, I'd also really be interested to find out what you thought of the edit and the way that I kind of displayed the photos on the screen. Is that something you'd like to see going forward, those kind of cinematic behind the scenes edits, or is there another idea that you guys can give me to display the photos on screen in a different way? Because I'm all ears. I want this channel to kind of grow and for people to enjoy what I'm doing. I don't just want to do what I think is good, and obviously nobody rates it. So yeah, I'd love to hear what you think of the photos and what you think of the way they were kind of put together in the edit too. That'd be really, really helpful. And just the last thing before I go, I'm also going to, in the outro, just pull out the photos from the set that I actually think are decent. So I watch a lot of photographers on YouTube, and sometimes I watch their photo sets and I've watched their photo walks, and they'll do similar to what I did, mix in their video footage and then sprinkle the photos in. And just at the end, I'm left thinking, I just want a bit more. I want to know really what you think about those images. Which ones of all of those that we've just seen do you actually think are good or portfolio worthy, or which ones might you get printed? So what I'm going to do at the end, and just as the music plays and the outro is playing, I'm going to just pull the images out of the set that you've just seen that I think are decent and that I might get printed or might post on Instagram later down the line, or might put on my website. Basically ones that I think are just a bit better than a snapshot. So yeah, I don't think there'll be that many, but the few that I do actually rate will just play out with the outro. And that's it. This video is done. The only thing I've got left to do is the usual YouTube begging. Please like my video, please subscribe to my channel. But no, in all seriousness, I am putting a lot of work into it, and I'm actually really enjoying it too. So I'm hopeful that the channel can grow and I can continue doing this, growing, keep enjoying it, and just see where it ends up. So yeah, a like, a subscribe, comment, sharing the videos, it all means so much.